So now let's understand. So put option grants the right to sell the currency at a specified strike price or exercise price within a specified period of time. It is right to sell. All right. So that person who purchased the right to sell, he has the advantage because he want to sell or not. He has the option to sell or not. So in that case, seller has the advantage that he can sell you at a predefined date, at a predefined rate or not. So it means seller will pay the premium to the buyer because seller is locking his price and paying premium to the buyer of the put. All right. So it means if the spot price falls below the strike price, the owner of a put can exercise the right to sell at a strike price. So the buyer of the option pays the premium. So in simple words, let's make the transaction here in order to understand this. So we have a put option, right? Here would be the buyer of the put. Here would be the seller of the put. So that person who buy put option, what actually he is buying? He is buying right to sell. Many students, they have confusion regarding the put option. Remember, so buyer of the put option basically buying right to sell. So if I bought the put option, then I have a right to sell you or refuse you. So when I have this right, I will pay the premium. That is denoted by small p. So that person who sells the put option will receive. So seller will receive the premium, buyer will pay the premium. All right? Oliver, you understand? Tiffany, you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Laura and Meena?
Yes, sir. All good. Thank you.
Rujiye? PD?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So put means right to sell, and that person who buy that right to sell, he will pay the premium, and that person who is selling that right, it means he has obligation to purchase. Now, two sides of the same coin. If the buyer has a right to sell, then seller of put has a obligation to buy. And here is right or option to sell or not. But when the buyer says, I am exercising this put option, then seller of the put option cannot refuse buyer of the put option, which means seller of the put option means obligation to buy. All right. Now, the buyer of the put options pay the premium denoted by small p if the spot exchange rate is lower than the strike price. If in the market, so how this transaction basically is established. So we contracted, this is a buyer, not buyer who want to buy, buyer of put. That's why I'm writing here put. So in forward and future contract, we can say buyer and seller. Buyer means those who want to buy, seller means those who want to sell. But in call and put option, the contract is buyer of call or sell of call. Okay, buyer of put and sell of put. Many students they confuse, okay, whether okay this is put option, okay, buyer of dollar, there would be seller of dollar. No, buyer of put seller, buyer buyer of put dollar, seller of put dollar. Then you will understand, okay. And put dollar means that I have a right to sell you dollar at this price. And seller of the put option means I have the obligation to buy dollar from you at the contract price. Contract price is called exercise price, denoted with X. We also call this strike price. Strike price or exercise price. So when this transaction going to be fruitful? When in the market, spot market, when in the market price is low, less than then the seller will be in beneficial. So that person who buy the put dollar, if the dollar price in the market is below, for example, here they have contracted, okay, $1 is equal to 7 yuan. But if in the market it is 5 yuan, then the buyer of the put will say that, look, I am executing this transaction because I have paid you put premium, and now you will buy from me at 7 yuan. And then seller of the put has no other option because it is obligation to buy from buyer of the put. All right. So if the market price is 5 yuan per dollar and strike price is 7 yuan per dollar, then buyer of the put will exercise the option and buyer has and the seller has the obligation to honor the transaction. So in this case, buyer of put mean I have right to sell, that would be seller of dollar. Seller of the put dollar means buyer of dollar. Guys, you understand? If you understand this, in this scenario, it would be very easy for you to understand. And if you read the reading material by understanding this scenario, then it will be further easy for you to understand. Otherwise, it is very, very confusing. So do you want me to repeat one more time? Tara, Meena, Ruji, Oliver?
Yes, one more.
Should I repeat? Right?
Yep.
Here we go. Again. So what is put option? Put option. So this is put option contract. On one end, there gonna be a buyer of the put. Let me change the color. Okay, there's gonna be a buyer of put option. And on the other end, on the timeline, there's going to be seller of put option. And the negotiation that they talked about that, okay, we will deal with the price, we call this strike price. Of course, there is time T after some time. So buyer of the put option means that person who buy the put option means he is buying right to sell or not to sell, because he's buying the option. All right, because he's buying the option that he want to buy the option or he want to buy the option or not. So if he is buying the option, he would be paying premium. So when you buy the put option, you will become, so if this is put option on dollar, so buyer of put option means right to sell dollars, or right to sell, or right to not to sell dollar. So in this scenario, with respect to dollar, you become seller of dollar or buyer of put option. Understand, guys? Guys, I need your participation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, seller of put option, which means that person who sells the put option, which means he is buyer of put option, means right to sell, and he is obligation to buy, right? And he will receive the premium from buyer of the put. Okay, so when he received the premium, it means there is obligation. And if buyer of the put says, so there's a difference between seller of the dollar and buyer of the put. Okay, buyer, if I'm saying buyer of the put means buyer of the put option, this contract, whole contract. All right. So if the buyer of the put exercises his option, then seller of the put must obligate. So in this case of dollar scenario, seller of the put means buyer of dollar. But which buyer? And he is must buy the dollar because he is receiving premium and he locked himself to the price. He must buy at exercise price, at the put price here from the buyer of the put. Oliver, you understand?
Yep.
So whenever you read call option and buy option and put option, please mark this or this timeline, or make this timeline, and then you can read the question. That will be very easy for you to solve the question. All right. So now, if the spot exchange rate is lower than the strike price, which means if the spot price is less than the strike price, so seller will exercise the position, because right to sell, he will not sell in the market because in the market price is lower and in the exercise price is higher, so he will sell you at higher price. So that would be in the money. If the spot rate is equal to the strike rate, in both cases, put and call, it is called at the money. If spot price is equal to exercise price. But if the spot price is greater than the strike price, if the spot price is greater than the strike price, so if the seller sells you, he will sell you at lower price. So he will cancel, the buyer of the put will cancel the put option, or will say that I have the option to sell you or not. So I choose not to sell you. I will sell in the market. So we call this out of the money. So that is the beauty of put option.
I have a question.
Yes, Oliver.
So if it's out of the money and you sell, you make a loss, right? When you buy put up.
That doesn't mean you have a loss. It means you already lost only premium. All right. Maybe you want to sell to the market, and the market